Why did Vince McMahon pull the plug on the WWE's women's division in 1995, especially when it featured some of the best talent in the world at the time? Was there budget cuts, a style that conflicted with the WWE style at the time, jealousy from male wrestlers, or something similar to the hush money scandal rocking the WWE today? Women's wrestling has had a very shaky history in the WWE, but during the early 90s, it looked like something 20 years ahead of schedule. Indeed, there's a case to be made that the women's revolution of 2015 actually began in 1993, with talent like Alundra Blaze, Bull Nakano, and Bertha Faye. It seemed like the WWF was interested in reviving women's wrestling. The WWE's booking of women's wrestling ran hot and cold in the 80s and early 90s. The women's division enjoyed unparalleled success when pop singer Cyndi Lauper teamed with wrestler Wendy Richter to inject some life into the division in 1984. Unfortunately, politics led to Richter's exit, and things stumbled until the WWE put the women's division on hiatus in 1990. For whatever reason, the WWE decided to revive women's wrestling, and it brought in talented wrestler Medusa Massili, aka Deborah Ann Massili, reportedly renaming her Alundra Blaze, because it didn't want to pay Medusa for the name she owned. Massili became one of the world's top performers after competing in Japan in WCW. McMahon used her as the center of his new women's division. Alundra quickly became women's champion, and wrestling lore has it that Vince McMahon asked her who she'd like to face. Medusa chose several stars from All Japan Women's Wrestling Corporation (AJW). This led to some well-received matches in the WWF as fans saw a dynamic style of women's wrestling they hadn't seen in several years. However, everything ended without warning in 1995 when the WWE released Alundra and scrapped its women's division. So what had happened? The reason usually given is that WWE scrapped the division due to budget cuts. 1995 was a rough year for the promotion as it faced renewed competition from WCW and dealt with decreased ticket sales and pay-per-view buys. While the WWE's women's division featured some world-class performers, it wasn't an essential component. Another reason is that certain male wrestlers may have been jealous due to the women supposedly upstaging them. As fans have repeatedly witnessed, wrestlers have had their careers sabotaged due to professional jealousy. Medusa claims that fellow wrestler Bull Nakano was released after failing a drug test. Medusa, who notes she was recovering from surgery at the time this happened, believed the boys set her up. According to Medusa, the failed drug test may have led to Vince feeling the women's division wasn't worth the time or money. Some fans believe Vince McMahon scrapped the women's division because it resembled Japan's strong style and McMahon didn't want his female wrestlers getting potatoed. Fans point to a match on Raw where Aja Kong punched opponent Asari, breaking a nose. There also may have been concern about women wrestling like men, a problem that would continue into the women's revolution era when women were prohibited from performing certain moves. This eventually changed with women allowed to work the same style as men, including Hell in a Cell matches, but it may have been unthinkable in 1995, even if it was based on sexist attitudes. The WWF's women's division was brimming with talent. The 1995 Survivor Series women's match read like a who's who in wrestling at the time as Bertha Faye, Aja Kong, Tomoka Watanabe, and Lioness Asuka battled. Alundra Blaze, Kyoko Inui, Saki Hasegawa, and Chaparita Asari. Nonetheless, the talent wasn't always used properly as fans saw when the WWE transformed Monster Heel Ronda Singh into a comedy character Bertha Faye, who was transformed into a gaudy trailer park dweller who had an unlikely romance with manager Harvey Whippleman. However, in her memoir, The Woman Who Would Be King, The Medusa Story, Massili suggests a relationship with a WWE official who was married at the time led to the WWE releasing her. Medusa recalls he was a powerful man then and is still well connected. According to Massili, she didn't know he was married. Later, the person allegedly claimed McMahon told him to fix his marriage and that I was going to protect his spot on the card. Whether or not this was the case, Medusa was told the WWE was going in a different direction, which meant the end of the women's division. It appears that Vince had several reasons to cancel the women's division: budget cuts and a feeling that the women weren't worth the time, especially after Bull Nakano's alleged failed drug test and a wrestler getting potato are plausible. However, Medusa's allegation of someone in power wanting her out due to alleged personal reasons shouldn't be ruled out, especially in light of Vince McMahon's hush money scandal. But there you have it, folks, why Vince McMahon pulled the plug on the WWE's women's division in 1995. Be sure to leave your comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.